What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back in the video and back with another Mock Draft Monday. We've done 2 straight full PPR mock drafts, so we have to go back to half PPR this week. We've also done picks 3, 5, 9, and 10, I think it was, over the last month. So we're going to do pick 8 this time. Snake draft as always, and then people have been asking for another 10-team draft, so we're going to do one of those. I think I want to do another 3 wide receiver one. Again, that one's getting a lot of popularity, so 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, 1 flex, no super flex spot this week, and we'll do the 6 bench spots as usual. I checked again for pre-draft rankings. Please, if you're watching this Fantasy Pros, update your darn site. You literally have the availability to like pull ADPs. You have an they literally have under here somewhere, I don't know where it is. Here, ADP consensus, which is accurate, and then they don't update the pre-draft rankings on the sheet here. Like you literally have it. Like I don't understand why they're not doing it, but they're not. Once they do that, I will do some of the major site mock drafts. I think I'm going to do one in August where I like bust through like a Yahoo, an ESPN, an NFL. Maybe I'll jump on over to Sleeper and do one of those just all in one video and we'll just crank through a bunch of them, but they're not accurate right now, and I'm not going to like go to actual ESPN and do that. So, Bob's ADPs, very high quarterback, very high rookies. Make sure we don't get values there. And why don't we start the draft? Also, some people were asking if I should like load the rankings onto here so we can actually draft on the rankings. Obviously, I'm not going to do that because then you guys would just see the rankings. But if you want to see the rankings, you can either sign up to the site or just do the Underdog promo that we have going on. It's literally like you sign up for Underdog using promo code FFA, deposit at least $10. Your deposit gets doubled. You get all the rankings for free, not just Underdog. I think a lot of people think you just get the Underdog rankings. You get all redraft rankings on my site for free, plus the Underdog rankings, plus all the Underdog content. So it's a great deal. It's a $10 deposit on Underdog with the promo code FFA, and then they'll also match it. And then you also get to do drafts with the money that you now have in the site. So incredible deal. But also that's why I'm not pulling up my rankings here, because anyone can just screenshot it, and then it would be theirs, and that's not fair. So draft board. We're pick 8. So we've got Jefferson, Chase, Kupp, Tyreek Hill off the board, McCaffrey, Eckler off the board, Kelsey off the board. That's going to be typically what happens. With the 8th pick, you're basically not going to be choosing between quarterback and tight end. You're going to be choosing between Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, whatever your favorite is among that grouping. I don't have a super strong lean. My lean is Stephon Diggs, and that's who I would take with this one. But you know, if you've got a lean there, just go for it. But yeah, Diggs or Bijan. That's really kind of up to you with that one. In a 3 wide receiver format, because I have Bijan and Diggs like right next to each other. I have the rankings right like below me right here. In 2 wide receiver, I have 6.6 for value for Bijan and 5.7 for Diggs. So it would say take Bijan, but in 3 wide receiver, it would be a coin flip. This would be one of those like just do a bunch of mock drafts and figure out, do you like your team? Like if you know you have the 8 pick, do a bunch of mock drafts and see like, do I like my team more if I start off with Bijan, then go wide receiver heavy, or do I like my team more when I start off wide receiver? Maybe I can grab a solid running back in the next round. I think that is my lean. We're probably not going to get Bijan, but we might end up with like Nick Chubb, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley. Pretty unlikely that all of them come off the board. There's only 4 picks here, and so for everyone to take them, I don't know, feels unlikely. I think some wide receivers will go off the board as well. So let's take Stephon Diggs. Let's see what ends up happening. A bunch of running backs do actually come off the board. Saquon Barkley, Bijan, Henry, and Jonathan Taylor. So no wide receivers come off the board. So we have Stephon Diggs. We have the option for Nick Chubb, who, I mean, honestly, is just a phenomenal pick at this spot. Probably what we're going to go with. If you wanted to go with your favorite between CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, I believe, I have AJ Brown. It's actually half a point higher in the projection. Again, that would be a gut feel. Whoever you prefer drafting between those 2, go for it. I actually have Adams before those 2, so it would be between Adams and Nick Chubb with this pick. My lean, if you're in this spot, would be you've got that first wide receiver locked up. It is pretty likely when we get into this next range here. So once we get into this like 308, 403, once we get into that spot, we're not going to be as in love with the running backs. And there's at least a chance that we look at it and we see, ooh, here's like some really good wide receivers that we really want. And I don't want to start off like 4 straight wide receivers. I'd still like to lock up 1 running back. And so Nick Chubb, if I think he's a true league winner, potential for like a ton of receptions this season, to go along with obviously potential league winner in like the rushing crown, ton of touchdowns. Like it just makes sense to take him. Lock up the first running back. After we go, Mahomes, Allen, and Hurts off the board. And so we're at that 308. The only one would be Lamar. We're probably not going to go with Lamar at 308. Mark Andrews goes right before us. That's unfortunate. We could have considered him at 308. Again, 10-team league, a little bit of a heavier lean towards tight end and towards quarterback, though that third wide receiver a little bit offsets that, which again is why I do like leagues to have these 3 wide receiver spots. At running back, Jacobs, Pollard, Breece Hall, and Stevenson, and then wide receivers, Lamb, Brown, Adams, Wilson, Monter St. Brown, and then Jalen Waddle. So we're not going to go with Hawkinson this early. Again, I don't think we should go with Lamar this early. It's a fine pick, but we did kind of just miss out on this top tier. And I don't know. I don't think the value is as good taking him there, but I'd be totally fine if you want to do that. At running back, we are kind of at where I just mentioned. Najee's fine. Mixon's fine. Etienne's fine. Gibbs is fine. But I don't think any of them scream, gotta draft me as my second running back at 308 here. So we're going to take our top wide receiver in the rankings. The top wide receiver in the rankings is Chris Olave. I think that's a really, really good value. We'll draft him. After we go, looks like Jamarkin Me Crazy over here has Saquon, JT, and Najee just going with straight volume at the running back position, then takes Joe Burrow at their 4th pick. So they don't even have a wide receiver yet, the 3 wide receiver format. Other team, so I guess they took Najee and Joe Burrow. Other team took T. Higgins and Jonathan Smith. That's a really good start, actually. Bijan, Derrick Henry. I mean, Derrick Henry's probably a little too early, but Bijan, let's say they had gone with Jonathan Taylor. Doing Bijan, JT, T. Higgins, and Jonathan Smith. Good start. Again, our start, we've got Nick Chubb, we've got Stephon Diggs, and Chris Olave. With this pick, we're again not going to go with Hawkinson. I think that any of this trio is fine. I almost feel like we should do a breakdown of this trio, but Metcalf, Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, don't worry about this injury right here. Again, that's kind of cool to have the pop up now. But yeah, he's fine. Like I think he's already practicing, so they should probably take that back off. But Cooper's fine. But yeah, I mean, DK, Keenan Allen, Cooper Kupp, all very, very similar picks. Realistically, also is Deebo Samuel, Calvin Ridley, like many of the same picks in that range. It's unfortunate we're not going to be able to double dip here. And take like 2 of these because it would be nice to get 2 of them. It just feels a little bit gross drafting the first one among like 5 receivers who are all pretty much the same pick. And so my hesitation my thinking when that happens is that I want to hesitate and be like, well, I don't want to get the same value as someone who does, because one of those players is probably going to go like 410 way over here. I'm kind of like guaranteeing myself that I got worse value than those people. And so don't think we're going to go with wide receiver either. Running back, definitely an option, though I'd be fine if like Akers, Pierce, Sanders, Dobbins, if those are running back too, and I think one of them will be there for the next pick. So I might go with Lamar Jackson. I want to see, I have Lamar Jackson at 310 in these rankings in 3 wide receiver. He probably is pushed back to like basically this spot. And so at 403, I think that's fine to do. Again, 10-team league, a little bit more important that you do get that stud quarterback. There are basically 8 top-tier quarterbacks. And so if they all go off the board, or 9, I guess. If they all go off the board, and then I'm starting, like, let's say Aaron Rodgers, right? And I'm going up against every single week, Mahomes, then Lamar, then Fields, then Herbert, then Allen, then Hurt. It's like every single week I'm just getting crushed at the quarterback position. That's tough, right? As you extend further into 12, 14, 16 team leagues, now there's more weeks where like other people are streaming, other people have mediocre quarterbacks, and it's not a huge deficit that you have yourself at. So shorter leagues, kind of a good idea to be attacking that. So I'm considering Lamar here. If I don't do that, the top running back is Mixon. Have Mixon actually still a little bit behind Lamar. Probably the move, though, is to take one of these wide receivers. I know I said I didn't want to do it, but I'm looking at the rankings here. I have Metcalf as the highest ranked player, considering 2 wide receivers. And so if we're adding a third, yeah, that's probably the move. Take Metcalf. If these quarterbacks come off the board, that's fine. We can still grab a really solid running back. I don't think the move is running back. We don't need it as much. All right. I've convinced myself. I think Metcalf's the move. Lamar does go off the board, unfortunately. That would have been really sweet getting him. Lamar goes to pick after us, so that makes sense. Hawkins comes off the board as well. A lot of running backs do go. Etienne, Walker, Gibbs, Aaron Jones, Mixon, Dobbins, Pierce, and Miles Sanders. That kind of stinks. And then wide receivers, Deebo, Amari, Keenan, and Calvin. So we just missed out on getting 2 of them. I was hoping I could double dip. Now we're definitely at a range where a lot of these wide receivers are very, very similar. Now I've got my three. I've got Stephon Diggs, Chris Olave, DK Metcalf. Very confident in the production of those three wide receivers. We're going to hold off. We're going to attack other positions. Not going to attack tight end. Could definitely do quarterback, though. I mean, this team already has Burrow, so pretty unlikely they take him. It's a short turn. I don't think there's a huge difference between Fields and Herbert. Again, we have that drop down into Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson. I'm pretty confident Herbert and Fields won't come off the board, so let's not do quarterback. I think the move is just to go with Cam Akers, highest ranked running back. Feel very confident in a breakout from him. So we'll take him. They go with 4 wide receivers: Hopkins, Moore, Judy, and McLaurin. So wide receivers coming off the board now. I don't think I want to go with running back. So again, I've got Chubb and Akers. Next one would be flex, but I mean, my plan in 3 wide receiver leagues is usually just to draft a lot of wide receivers and hope that flex can consistently be a wide receiver. I don't feel confidently enough in the picks right now. Again, it's Madison, James Conner, Rachaad White. I really like David Montgomery, but I feel like it'd be better if I could hopefully get him in the next round. That would be really nice. Wide receiver, I love Drake London, but Christian Watson's also good. So is Godwin, Lockett, Kirk, Ayuk, Mike Williams. I mean, all of them are pretty much in the same tier. Maybe I can get one of them at the next pick. And so it's, do I pick that first, or do I just lock up like Justin Fields or Herbert? I have them literally right next to each other. You would just go with whoever you feel better about. 339.6 projected points for Justin Herbert, 339.5 projected points for Justin Fields. I actually do feel a little bit better about Justin Herbert. I think he just got a lot more talent surrounding him. Doesn't have that same rushing upside, obviously. But I think if we lock up Justin Herbert, love him at quarterback this season, I think we can still do good things here with the team. So Herbert goes, Fields goes, Lawrence also goes. So pretty likely we wouldn't have gotten Herbert or Fields at that pick. I think that ended up making it a really good pick at 603. Drake London also goes to pick after us. That's unfortunate. We see most of those wide receivers I talked about before go off the board. London, Watson, Godwin, Lockett, Mike Williams, Brandon Ayuk. We see Kittle, Pitts, and Dallas Goedert all come off the board. So I believe it's really just Waller that's left there. And then Dalvin Cook, Madison, and James Conner go at running back. So like we said, Darren Waller's still on the board. 608. I have Waller. It would be pick 68 overall. I have him at 73, so not a phenomenal value, but that's not too bad. We're not going quarterback. Running back, we have the option for Rachaad White and David Montgomery, and then we've got the last wide receiver here in Christian Kirk. So we've got 4 players we really want with these 2 picks. Odds are, I mean, there's only 5 picks, including us, before we get to our next one, so odds are we're going to get one of them. I'm a little hesitant. I think that there's a chance Waller comes off the board because neither of these 2 teams have a tight end. So my gut says take Waller here. The odds that we see Kirk, White, and Montgomery all come off the board sort of slim. But then I look at ADPs and they are the top 3 by ADP. So that's concerning. At least White's the earliest one. He's actually the one I probably want the least. I want Kirk and I want Montgomery. I don't think it would be sharp to take Kirk here because he'd be our 4th wide receiver. If we're going to miss out on Christian Kirk, that's really not the end of the world. If we missed out on Waller, though, I mean, that would hurt us, right? We'd now have to wait a decent ways to kind of get another one that we really like. We could get Evan Ingram. I'd be fine with Njoku. I'd be fine with like Dulcich and Chig. But these would be later, and I would kind of be a disadvantage in a lot of weeks. So I think the move's to take Waller. Let's take Waller, hope one of them doesn't get drafted, and it looks like we are good to go. Kirk does go to pick after us. Next team does take their first quarterback in Watson, then they take Burks, and then back around to DeAndre Swift after that. Nice. Okay, so we should just take our top running back. I am pretty sure, Dave Montgomery at 177.9 points, 173.7 for Rachaad White. Dave Montgomery, feel very confident in his production this season. The upside. Dave Montgomery, even with Gibbs healthy, if they're using Gibbs a lot in the receiving game, Dave Montgomery could have 250 carries this year. He legitimately could have that many carries. He could have 250 carries, 10 to 12 touchdowns, and absolutely shatter his ADP. And then if Gibbs went down, my goodness, he's a top 5 running back, right? So we make that pick. Only one quarterback goes off the board, Dak. No tight ends come off the board. As we expected, it's kind of a drop-off after Darren Waller. Decent amount of wide receivers: Pittman, Evans, Marquise Brown, Deontay, Pickens, Tony, JSN, and Jordan Addison. And then White, Pacheco, Javonte Williams, Kamara, and James Cook at running back. Our team, to remember, we've got Herbert, Nick Chubb, Cam Akers, Diggs, Olave, Metcalf, Waller, Dave Montgomery. Feel very confident in that. We also have 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers. We want to lean towards more wide receivers later on here because there are 3 starting wide receiver spots. We have 7 bench spots. We're probably going to do 4 wide receivers, 3 running backs, and then get our defense. If we're looking at options here, I think you have to go with wide receiver. I love a number of the wide receivers here. I really want to be attacking this position right now. It would be between Jahan Dotson and Brandon Cooks. I don't actually know who exactly I have. They're probably very close to each other. Brandon Cooks, 153.1. Jahan Dotson, 154.8. So just beating him out. I think that does make a little bit of sense. Jahan Dotson's a phenomenal young wide receiver. If they can really get him the ball, he's going to be absolutely fantastic. So we'll take him. Unfortunately, we have the short turn, of course. They take 4 wide receivers: Cooks, Gabe Davis, Quentin Johnston, Michael Thomas. That kind of stinks. I was hoping I could get Jahan Dotson and Brandon Cooks back-to-back there. That doesn't end up happening, but we still have our boy. He will be our top-ranked wide receiver now, Elijah Moore. And then we kind of do see a drop-off because Pickens is off the board as well. After Elijah Moore, I mean, it drops down to like Zay Flowers is my next one, but that even still, I mean, 151, it's only like a 10-point difference, but I mean, I like Elijah Moore a lot better than a lot of those players. Running back, I don't have a running back ranked even really like remotely close to this spot, even assuming fewer wide receiver spots. There's definitely a drop off in this range. You can really see it on Underdog. Like once you hit, it's like pick 80, it's like pick 90, like basically right where James Cook goes. I don't know exactly his ADP now, but it's around pick 90. Once you exit him, you really do get into this like Gibson, Dillon, Brian Robinson, Herbert, Penny range. Like it is like 20 picks that go by where you're like, I don't really want to take any of these running backs. And so it is a position where you kind of want to wait on. And if, if I'm all in on Elijah Moore right now, why not take him, wait at the running back position? Unfortunately, that may have been answered for us because a million running backs do go off the board. Dillon, Bryant, Gibson, Jamal, Penny, Herbert, Pirine, Damian Harris, and Charbonnet all come off the board. No tight ends, no quarterbacks. Sutton, Jameson Williams, Bateman, Odell, and Juju come off the board at wide receiver. So worst case scenario really for us because we don't want quarterback. We don't want tight end. At this point, Evan Ingram is a phenomenal value if we can get him. But we're not drafting those players. Someone actually did ask me in the Discord, which again is free. If you want to join the free Discord, link in the description. Someone asked me in that, and they're like, sometimes I draft, let's say Kelsey, Andrews, Hawkins, one of those like top end tight ends, and then they're sitting there like they like Evan Ingram, but they're obviously not going to take him at ADP. That make no sense in redraft league. And then he becomes 1, 2, 3 rounds of value, and you're sitting there like, well, I don't want to give Evan Ingram to a team at like 4 rounds of value. Should I just take the backup? My answer to that question was, it depends on your bench. So in this one, we have 7 bench spots. I'm in a league where I have 5 bench spots. I wouldn't do it in 5, even if it became a really good value. Like to take that backup tight end, having an early one, like it's just, you don't have enough bench spots to really make it worthwhile. When you need backup running backs, wide receivers, you like need that. And so that was my first answer is you got 5 bench spots, don't do it. But if you're in a league with like 7 bench spots, for me to sacrifice one of those, or my 6th wide receiver. Like I have Diggs, Olave, Metcalf, Jahan Dotson, Elijah Moore. I'm pretty confident we're going to get 3 of those that end up being really, really good this season. Rotate one in the flex. We have another one where there's bye weeks, injuries. Like we still need these bench spots very heavily. But, if I draft another wide receiver, then I draft, Evan Ingram here. Like drafting Evan Ingram at this spot really wouldn't be the death of my team. It would honestly be very, very fine to do because look at who we have. I'm going to draft 2 more wide receivers in this team, right? There's still so many more really good wide receiver talents, even if we're going way down here. If we wanted to draft Van Jefferson, if we wanted to draft Mingo, if we wanted to draft Romeo Doubs, Gallup, even if we went way down in the draft, we drafted Tim Patrick, we took a shot on Khalil Shakir, Marvin Mims. Like there are plenty of options for us with that last spot, so we don't need to be like, well, gotta take Zay Flowers here. Like I mean, I might draft Zay Flowers here because I really, really like him as a talent, but we don't have to. You could sacrifice that take that backup tight end. Maybe you end up trading him. Maybe you see Darren Waller get injured for a few weeks. Maybe it's as a bye week fill-in or for like a very, very bad matchup fill, like different things like that. You could end up utilizing him. So that's basically my answer. How many bench spots? Once you hit 7, if it's a few rounds of value, which, I mean, how much of a value is Evan Ingram right now? I'm not going to draft Evan Ingram with this pick, so don't be too scared that I'm like messing up or something like that. But I have a pick 87 and we're at pick 108. So we are at 21 picks of value. That's pretty good, right? I mean, it's nearly 2 rounds. I'd say if he was there at like, pull up the draft board. If he was there at like 1308, I'm obviously drafting him. Like at that point, I'm biting the bullet. I'm taking him. Pretty sure one of these 2 teams here at the turn who doesn't have a tight end yet is probably going to end up drafting him. But that's fine. So that is a long way of saying kind of hated. Well, so yeah. I kind of hate the running back position. I was saying maybe Devon A-Chain, but it's like A-Chain, Warren, Kendre Miller, Tank Bigsby. Those are who we're kind of looking at there. But again, Flowers, I think just far and away. Flowers and Sky Moore, though. It's still Flowers. Okay, so here's something. If we can do Flowers, then Sky Moore, I will have 7 wide receivers that I think should all be drafted inside the top 90 picks. That's pretty good, right? That's pretty good value at wide receiver for a 3 wide receiver league. I'm going to feel very confident in that. And then who knows what we'll do after that. It'll probably just be a bunch of running backs. But, I mean, if we can pull that off, oh, my goodness, we did it. Flowers, Sky Moore, beautiful. Oh, this draft's working out swimmingly. So we get him. Evan Ingram does go. They took Chig first. The Taylor Swifts took Chig in round 11. Evan Ingram almost makes it back to us. How incredible would that have been? This dude got such good value. Should have drafted Comment with his team name. But he got such good value getting Evan Ingram that late. I have to move this a little bit. There we go. I can see the bottom. Wow, 1302. That's awesome value. But anyways, we got Flowers. We got Sky Moore. We're done at wide receiver. At running back, I mean, I really like Jaylen Warren. I know that we are kind of lacking at the running back position, but I just made 2 picks. Those of you listening on the podcast as we were talking there. I think we're lacking a little bit at running back. But like again, if Nick Chubb is a league winner, if Akers ends up getting that starting role for the Rams, ends up being really good. If Montgomery's as good as I think, we've got 3 running backs for 2 spots. Probably would honestly start the season with Montgomery in the flex, but 2 spots that we need those running backs to be filling. And then having Jaylen Warren mixing in here and there, because he's still going to play plenty for the Steelers with plenty of upside. Tank Bigsby, going to have a passing down role, going to be spelling ETN at times. They do not want to overload ETN. ETN is still a starter. They don't want to overload him. Having that happen, but then also incredible upside if ETN went down. I think we're still good enough at the running back position to where like it's our weak point. But look at wide receiver. Diggs, Olave, Metcalf, Jahan, Elijah Moore, Flowers, Sky Moore. Like we're so confident in a bunch of those players. We've got Herbert. We've got Darren Waller. This is a good team. This is a really good team. So last pick before we get out of here. I guess we can just lock up Jerome Ford, just kind of handcuff. I don't actually know. Again, I posed a question to you guys. Only a few of you responded to me. I'd like a few more of you to respond when I pose questions to you. I asked you guys to answer, like, what do you think of Jerome Ford? Do you think that they would give him a feature workload if, like, let's say Chubb went down for a month with an ankle sprain? Would they use Ford at the lead back? You guys were kind of split on if that would happen or not. I don't know. I think if long-term, if Chubb, like, tore his ACL, like, I think they'd bring someone else in. I think short-term, they probably would. And for my team, it's kind of like a why not, right? Why not just take Jerome Ford, have that handcuff just in case something happens? Then we'll come down here. We'll take the Saints. I probably should memorize a defense that's not the Saints, but I just keep taking the Saints every time because they're such an easy thing to do. The team is significantly better than an 82. Also, for those of you asking if I'm going to update my rankings on Fantasy Pros, I will, but not till the end of August. A lot of people try to like get the rankings by like Fantasy Pros lets you select a few experts and you can kind of like back into people's rankings from there. And so Fantasy Pros still has my like pre-draft rankings from like the NFL draft. Like they have very, very bad rankings from me. So that's kind of feeding into like their stuff there. And it also feeds into this score. But yeah, I'm not going to give people an ability to like back into the rankings. So starting lineup: Herbert, Nick Chubb, Cam Akers, Stephon Diggs, Chris Olave, Metcalf, Darren Waller, David Montgomery, and the Saints. Love it. Bench: Jahan Dotson, Elijah Moore, Zay Flowers, Zay Jones, Did I say Zay Jones after that? Sky Moore. I think I was looking at the Zay too much there. Zay Flowers, Sky Moore, Jalen Warren, Tank Bigsby, Jerome Ford. That is a very Nick team. These are all players I've talked heavily about this season, players I have a ton of on Underdog. And speaking of that, please remember, you can see my rankings for free, including the redraft rankings, even those rankings, completely free. All you got to do, sign up for your first Underdog account today using promo code FFA, make a minimum $10 deposit. They will double whatever you put in up to $100. If you put in $75, they'll turn it into $150. Plus, you get my rankings for free. You will get all the Underdog content for free, and you'll be able to do a ton of drafts and join us on the Underdog live stream tomorrow night. So that'll do it for this one. Hope you all did enjoy. If you did, hop behind the like button, hop subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Thanks for watching.